So welcome from Manhattan, and we are going to
We're going for a stroll on the bridge.
on the Brooklyn Bridge. Yeah. So we're going that way, and look at the architecture. It's very interesting. There's a lot of old buildings, remembering 19th century, right? Yeah, this is old City Hall. Down there, you see the court and the prison, and I think it was the first police department. Also, you can see it. And what was that? What was that show from '50s? Jack Hammer, right? That was Hammer. So you can see that building, that one, over there on that show, feature on that show.
For the beginning of the year, there will be tons and tons of vendors on the bridge selling to tourists and locals, hats, gloves.
Yeah, souvenirs,
Depends on the
right?
And souvenirs, yes. But since I think some, I'm not sure of the exact date. But a few weeks ago, no, beginning of this year already, there was some, I guess, law or some kind of whatever was passed that there is no more vending on the bridge. I guess people are complaining that it's too crowded, there's too many people walking, you can't get any place to walk, and vendors could be very aggressive. So whatever the reason is, there's no more vending allowed.
So we officially on the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yes, along with 1,000 people.
Yeah, we have a lot of company here today. It's the last. So we're about to enter the Brooklyn Bridge, and Brooklyn Bridge is very unique, and they also call it a handmade bridge. When the bridge was erected, opened in 1883, it was called the eighth wonder of the world. It was what's the word? Epic. It was that epic. The bridge is very interesting, carries very interesting stories. If you care to listen for a moment, the whole idea of the bridge came to the German immigrant named John Roebling in 1850 or 51, something like that. There was no connection between Brooklyn and Manhattan at the time, other than boats, right? The people used the boats. Accidentally, the first steamboat that was invented by a guy named Fulton, Robert Fulton, in 1811, I believe. It was created just for that, for the purpose of commuting between Brooklynians and Manhattan. So when Roebling got stuck in the ice, because in early 1850s the winters were very, very severe, so the East River will be covered with ice, and so people will get stuck, right? They miss the work and all that good things, birthday parties and all that. So Roebling got stuck on one of these steamships, and then he thought, it's like, why don't we build a bridge, right? He was already known for the his iron company. He invented the steel rope, and he was selling that successfully. So he thought maybe the idea of the suspending bridge would work for such a long distance as well, right? So he went in front of the City Hall, then he went in front of the US Congress, and eventually he managed to convince all the politicians and secure all the necessary funds. See one of the steel ropes, right? Inside of each rope there's like 19 parts, and inside of each one of the 19 parts, I was reading there was around 280 small ropes. So all this combined into one gigantic rope. And this is the small one comparing to what you see over there. John Rebling was looking for he finally convinced the politicians he got his funds secure, he started to look for the best possible location, right, for his bridge. And he found the location. Interesting story. As he was probably in cloud 9, looking, in his mind for the best solutions, one of the steamships came to the shore of Brooklyn, and actually hit the port, or whatever the boardwalk, whatever it was called, and the Rebling got hurt. As a result, all his toes had to be amputated. What's interesting, that gives you an idea what kind of man he was. He insisted on amputation without anesthesia, and then he insisted on treating himself afterwards by himself. So he come up with something with idea of hydrotherapy, what we call later as a hydrotherapy, and he used hot water for his open wounds. Well, the result was obvious to us nowadays. The gangrene set in fairly quickly and he died. So here you are, the situation is that there's a money, there is study, there is design, there is concept for the bridge, there is a location, and there is no builder. So people started to think what to do, right? Likely for him, or for us, he had a son. Named Washington Rebling was a colonel in Union Army because the Civil War was just about ended. And he was also known about building small bridges for the Union Army to cross deep into the South. So that was the obvious solution for all these, people involved in the project to point at him. Washington never, ever before overseen such a gigantic construction process, but they asking me, it's a probably steady job, so he took it. Look at the names of the engineers. So you see is John and Washington, and wait till we get deeper into the story who is not here on this map. So we have two levels on this bridge, right? And we walk in above, that's above, and that's below, and that's for the cars. When the bridge was thought about, that nobody had any ideas there will be cars over here, right? So this is very modern invention to put the cars on the bridge. Behind in the perspective you see what? FDR, right?
FDR.
Yeah, FDR is the freeway, non-collision road that goes on the east side of Manhattan all the way to Bronx, to George Washington Bridge on the northern tip. So the whole idea about this construction was to erect the two towers. So we're looking at the Manhattan City Tower. That interestingly, they had to go to the court for the city of New York to actually found this, because everything was found by the city of Brooklyn. So we're looking at the East River, right? On the left we have Brooklyn, and on the right hand side, structures of Manhattan. So in order to build such a huge towers, there was an idea of going down into the rock of the river, because the bottom is just muddy, right? So they had to go very, very deep. And they created the huge, gigantic structures called basins. And that thing was submerged in the water over 100 feet. And to that beautiful structure. And the people will go inside, the workers will go inside, and they would remove the so the bases of these gigantic towers, one behind us, which is on the Brooklyn side, and one behind us over here, which is the city side, they had to dig the fundaments for it. And they used gigantic structures going 100 feet deep into the water to the crystallized sand basin. also sort of basins, right, with the open lid, and people would go inside and they dig out by the hand all this mud out. Now, it was very hot over there. They say, the witness would say there was over 100 degrees inside. There was no light. They just have a little calcium lights, and there was very little oxygen, right? As a result, a lot of these people beginning to get sick and then later die. Nobody understood why was going on, what was going on, and when they get them very quickly, rush them outside, they would die. They would simply die, and a lot of people would die. In the beginning, there was not a big deal because there was a line of, workers, people mostly from Germany, from Italy, from Poland, to replace the dead workers. So they made whooping $2 per day. $2. That's $2. And then it was as the time progressed, doctors would discover that there is something going on with the compression inside of the body, with the circulation, because of the depth. They went very quickly, and this is how we actually discover the compression sickness, the bends, right? So we know that if we go like a scuba divers, if they go deep and they emerge too fast, the nitrogen in the blood just expands too much, right? And the circulation slows down to the point that it might cause the problems with the brain, heart, and so on, so on. During one of these incidents, Washington himself went down to inspect what was going on, and he got sick. As a result, long story very short, he ended up actually leaving the construction site. So you have second Roebling leaving the site. First he moved to New Jersey, and then he moved to Brooklyn, where he could see with his binoculars how the works was progressing. However, he was not here. So somebody had to come and manage all this. So again, the most simplest idea was to get somebody from the family. Now the small problem was that John Roebling ran out of sons, right? So they got his wife, I'm sorry, it was his mother. She looks kind of old on pictures. His wife, Emily Roebling. Now, Emily Roebling, as we saw on that plaque, is actually missing. Nobody bothered when they put the plaque to acknowledge her as an engineer. And she was overseeing all the construction. And she was telling a whole bunch of men what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And that was the time that women did not have votes, right to vote even. So that's very, very interesting story. And Emily was actually the very first person who crossed the bridge after the bridge was built and ready to go. So this is bicycle route that was open, I don't know, about 3 years ago maybe. It's a fairly new idea to put the people on the bikes. They can cross the bridge. So this is tourist attraction. As we can see, we come here and we take selfies, right?
Right. Nowhere better than the Brooklyn Bridge.
So when the bridge was opened in mid-May 1883, first weekend we had about 150,000 people crossing the bridge. There was a main attraction. Everybody paid penny for that. So imagine the amount of pennies, all these bags of pennies. Weekend after that was very famous incident that happened. You see the floor over here, and you see the space in between the wood, right? So one lady was walking and her heel got trapped in between these wooden parts. So she started to scream. Next lady, walking next to her, she picked up screaming part, but she didn't realize what was going on. So she started yelling that the bridge is collapsing. And as a result, there was a huge panic spreading very quickly in the crowd. As a result, over 100 people got injured, a lot of people died. 11, I think, people died because of that hill accident. After that, the bridge became cursed, and nobody wanted to cross, and people were afraid, right? So some weeks later, there was a owner of the circus that wanted to promote his business. Never mind his name. He convinced the city hall, who was very not happy, shall we say, about lack of income from the bridge, right? So he convinced the city hall that he can prove to New Yorkers and Brooklynians alike that the bridge is safe. So what he did, he marched all his animals. He marched 21 elephants and, well, some say 10, some say 17 camels through the bridge. And people watched them from both ends, all these huge, enormous animals with tons of music and clowns, everybody jumping, and athletes carrying the heavy weights crossing the bridge. And after that, and only after that, the bridge was proclaimed safe. So it got cold, right?
Yes, windy and cold.
Yeah, we are quite high. The bridge is 130 feet above the water level. So all these big ships, not like this one, but all these big ships could go under. And accidentally these things, the towers are 278 feet tall. Can somebody tell us in comments, what is that in meters? 278 feet? And this is famous Lower Manhattan. What you see over here is Freedom Tower, that glass structure over there in the middle. And Freedom Tower is erected in the exact spot when Twin Towers were and got destroyed in 9/11, right? You know that. So we shan't forget. Everybody taking pictures. What we don't know is where are these screens. Is this the something that to do with the cellular reception? We don't know what that is. If anybody knows, please let us know.
These people didn't see green lipstick before everybody was looking at my lips.
Everybody looking at your lips. But I miss these vendors, that you can find like very nice items over here, and I'm sure they were quite cheap too. And smile while you're driving, you're in candid camera. Slowly getting off, right, off the bridge, and we can see the beautiful structure of municipal building in front of us.
Golden statue on top.
With golden statue on top. It shines in the beautiful sun. It's a beautiful day, by the way. Look at that. It's very sunny, beautiful.
Sunny and bright, but not warm.
No, not warm at all. It's like what, low 40s or something?
High 30s.
Yeah. So we're discovering that it is easier to walk without the vendors here because they were crowding on this side, opposite side. But look at this building over here. Looks like somebody took the gigantic thumb or something, or finger, and just squeezed it. It looks amazing. And very importantly, this is beautiful attraction for whoever visits New York, and it's completely free, right? We don't pay even that penny that was waived some time ago. So you can come and you can choose your weather. A lot of people here obviously over the weekend, but if you come here Wednesday or Thursday morning, your chances are you'll be one of 20 people crossing it. You don't think so?
I don't think so, because it's such a, people always looking for free things to do in the city. And if you Google, this is one of the things that's going to pop up. And there's thousands of people that visit New York every year, every day. So this would be one of the things that people would want to see for free. If you're on a budget, this is one of the things that, or one of the places that they want to see and go to.
Isn't she a beauty? Isn't she a queen? Nicest bridge that I have ever seen. Her paint's a little tattered where age has left its touch. Still, I guess I'll always love her very much. Like the folks you meet on, like to plant my feet on the Brooklyn Bridge. What a lovely view from heaven looks at you from the Brooklyn Bridge. I love to listen to the wind through her strings, the song that it sings for the town. I love to look up at the clouds in her hair. She's learned to wear like a crown. If you've been a rover, journey's end lies over the Brooklyn Bridge. Don't let no one tell you that I've been trying to sell you the Brooklyn Bridge. All the folks in Manhattan are sad, 'cause they look at her and wish they had the good old